It's Foul Territory presented by Fox One. We'll do plenty of World Series talk, but it's a simple question. Do you have air conditioning or not?
Yes, I turn it on every day we come up here.
Boom, there you go. Kratz, do you have air conditioning or not?
It works. I just don't need it right now.
That sounds a little bit Angels-ish. Let's start. That was my favorite opener, by the way, for FD. If you watch us online, we do a little pre-show thing each day to get you all pumped for the show. Little opener.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yes, the air conditioner works. And you know, by the way, Scott, that if the air conditioner here doesn't work, I'm on the phone with the HVAC guy that second. Like, I'll stop the show and be like, the air conditioner's not working. I need someone here now.
You have better HVAC support in your
Well, the Angels tried to offer somebody to join today.
Yes. I don't want to give too much away, but yes, they did. They did put that out there, and that's real. Let's start here. We are expecting Shane Bieber to join us any moment. The Blue Jays game
three.
I
guess. He hit 3-7 in the LCS. They're not going to change it.
I would think so, too, but they haven't officially announced that yet. Maybe he'll give us the official announcement when we talk to him. Before we get to him, I did have this saved. You asked me yesterday about ratings. We got them for Fox. ALCS Game 7 averaged over 9 million viewers. And
that's just in the U.S., though.
In the U.S., that's part of it. And peaked at 12.3-ish. It was the most watched ALCS game on any network since 2017, which was ALCS Game 7, Yankees Astros. Yep. We hear about that one all the time, with Todd Father, Kratz. Todd Father brings that one up all the time, right?
Yes. Todd still thinks they were banging trash cans in the game, but we had 19 mound visits to change our signs every single time. So the Yankee fans, they weren't banging trash cans during that game. It's not like every pitch occurrence type of thing.
That one was in New York or in Houston, that Game 7?
No, in Houston. We had a 3-2 lead going to Houston. Lost Game 6 and then lost Game 7. That's when Lance McCullers threw a couple curveballs in a row.
Exactly.
And Game 6 was a blowout, right?
I don't remember.
Was Game 6 a blowout, and then Game 7 was the super tight one that you guys lost at the end?
I'll look it up.
I don't know. Anyways, we got other things to worry about. We don't care. That's past. We're talking about a guy who actually pitches.
Ready to go. Let's bring him in. Blue Jays starter Shane Bieber is here, looking nice and crisp from his phone. Does he have to move it horizontal to everybody? I'm asking real quick so that we know once we can start here. Let me know fast.
I think I did.
Good. All right. Yep, we did. It looks great. How you doing, man?
All right, thanks. Yeah, sorry. You're gonna have to bear with me here. I'm doing well, guys. Tthanks for having me on.
Thank you.
By the way, is it beanie weather in Toronto? You have a full beanie on. It's not that cold.
Yeah, it's climate control. We're indoors here, but you didn't want to see this mop that's under here, so I had to throw something on, and we're going straight to some media duties after this. So,
rep the brand. How was the celebration after Game 7? It looked like a nightclub.
Yeah, it was long. it was well deserved. Those 8 p.m. game starts go deep into the night, right? But it's a great privilege to be able to celebrate late and to enjoy what was a huge win with these guys.
By the way, Shane, I mean, I know it's like where Scott would hang out normally on a Tuesday night, like you guys were doing that Monday night. But was Mad Max like the all-time greatest? Because they showed him at one point. He was standing. I don't know what he was throwing beer on everybody, like on the stage. Was he the DJ? Was he having the most fun? Who had the most? And why? And by the way, I know you guys are all sexy as hell with your shirts off, but why is everyone wearing no shirt? Can we get Gossman and Hoffman and some of these guys to put shirts on?
I know. I've been trying this whole run, but it keeps working. So who am I to tell him what to do? In regards to Max, I don't even think he knows what he's doing. He's just enjoying it, man. And like he sets the standard. He works his tail off, right? He goes and competes like nobody else, and then he enjoys it like nobody else too. And that's what we're all trying to do and fall in line. man, what a pleasure it's been to be able to play with him.
Did that celebration, has that been like, that's not been like since day one since you've been there. It's kind of like grown, right? Like more lasers, more fog machines. Or is that like your first day when you got there and your first big league rehab assignment that you went on? Is that what they were rocking?
They redid the clubhouse like a year and a half, 2 years ago, I think. I got here a couple months ago, and this place is pearled out. It's pretty incredible the way they take care of every amenity is anything you can think of is handled. And I think it was going into game 162. Obviously, we're fighting for the AL East, and they were setting something up in the hallways outside the clubhouse. They were setting up like strobe lights and all that. So what's this all about? And like, oh, that's for when we win the post game celebration. I said we're not gonna celebrate in this fantastic clubhouse of ours. I would love to mess things up in here. And they said, no, it's too nice. We'll do the hallway. I said, okay, well, when we win the World Series, you got to promise we can do it in this clubhouse and really mess some stuff up. So we'll see if they keep their promises.
That's a big hallway, by the way. That was a big hallway. That looked like the rave hall. I mean, that's a massive hallway, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
They do it right here, that's for sure.
They've changed the clubhouse because it used to not be nice, so they've redone the whole thing. They've done both sides, and it's way better than what it used to be, as you know. All right, so we got to go back to Game 7. You started Game 7. First of all, in the first inning, your ex-teammate, Josh Naylor, jumps in front of a double play ball. What did you say to him when he did? Because you said something to him, but we couldn't really read your lips.
No, you couldn't. I thought it was pretty obvious.
Something like, what the F are you doing? Or it was kind of along those lines.
That. That's a heat of the moment comment, right? Like, he already had a base RBI base hit. And it was a tailor-made double play to get out of that first inning. And credit to Josh, man. I know he'll do anything he can to win. Love his game. He had a fantastic year this year. So we exchanged some text messages after, and it's all good. But I think you can read my lips, and thankfully they made the right call and we got out of the inning.
Okay, so not only did you yell at Naylor, but when you got taken out of the game, you kind of were yelling at the umpire. Were you trying to get ejected as you got taken out of the game, or were you just walking that fine line between just saying things and not getting ejected?
Yeah, I mean, you know something about that, don't you?
I've been ejected a time or 10, so yes, I know how it works.
Yeah, so exactly. It turns out, I mean, the TV zone's different than the umpire zone, so we'll see. But I went back and looked, and I'm like, oh, those were both balls, so that's not a great look. But whatever. I think, like I said, is Game 7 just trying to leave it all out there, and obviously didn't want to. I wanted to finish the inning and didn't want to end it on a walk, but at the same time, I knew Louis Varlin, our fire extinguisher, was coming into the ball game, and he was able to get the job done, and ultimately in a Game 7, you're just looking to give everything you have out there and then pass the baton, and with the offense that we have, keep it as close as possible, and we're going to get our opportunities to do some damage, and go figure we did just that.
All right, so players in the dugout kind of know how the game's going to go. You're surprised by certain moments. Take us to the Springer and not bringing Munoz in that situation. Were you guys sitting on the bench like, I kind of thought they'd bring Munoz in here? Like, did you say, I kind of like this matchup now?
Or brash. Honestly. I mean, you never know. Like, hitting's hard, right? And baseball's crazy. We have all the confidence in the world in George. He continually comes up with a huge hit time after time. We were all hoping for a base hit. He one-upped us, that's for sure. Credit to, honestly, the Mariners. Their bullpen, they're incredible all year and all postseason. And so, regardless, I think you're thinking a little bit less about the pitcher, and you're thinking a little bit more about George and putting your faith in him and his ability to get the job done regardless of who's on the mound. But yeah, I think looking back, they probably had a few different options, but nobody knows those conversations in that dugout and in that bullpen to end up making that decision. But I think for us, Andres had a huge sacrifice bunt to put runners on second and third, and and it didn't matter who was on the mound. We have all the confidence in the world in George to be able to come through for us big time.
Yeah, you're happy they brought in Bizarro. It's okay. You can say it. You guys were all happy on that bench when you saw, but you guys were like, oh, George Homer. Nice. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Seattle. So it's okay. I know how, listen, you're not going to say it. I'll say it for you. It's cool. But I want to know, are you pitching game 3? Have they told you, or are you guys going same rotation?
I think we're still figuring some things out. I heard you guys talking when I was in the waiting room there. You're trying to get an answer from me. I actually don't have an answer just yet, but I think
you're saving it. You're saving it for media. It's cool. We get it.
Yeah. No, you guys are the media, man. In 12 minutes, I might find out when everybody else finds out, to be fair. But it's the World Series. Like I said, no matter what, we're leaving it all out there. So I don't care when it is. I'm just excited and grateful to be able to get an opportunity and get the ball. And so whenever I do get that, I'll give my all.
Shane, so they always talk about this. You had Tommy John not that long ago, okay? Is it a thing? Is this a real thing where you throw one day and you're like, okay, my arm feels great and I have great stuff, and then the next time, because it's kind of been in the postseason, one good one bad one really good one bad one, Is that a real thing where sometimes you just don't feel it because you haven't fully come back from Tommy John? Because the game 3 start, your slider was literally stopping and just making a left turn on TV, right turn, left turn for you, right turn for the hitter, right? And then in game 7, it just wasn't as sharp. Is that a Tommy John thing, or is that just day-to-day thing?
Who's to say? I think I located it much, much better in Seattle. I left some pitches up in game 7, and I got punished for it a little bit. And at the same time, I felt like, it was one of those outings. It was clear early on, and from behind the dish, like sometimes it's like, oh, we're going to have to grind through this one because, induced a few ground balls and they were finding holes, and we're just trying to limit damage at that point. The game kind of like sets its theme early on, and you got to make adjustments and compete and roll with it. And that's kind of what it was. And so, I think in a game 7, you're just focusing on getting as many outs as you can and keeping the game close. And, fortunately to do that, in regards to Tommy John, I don't know what's going on right now. Like everybody I've spoken to is telling me and had told me, like, once you get to that first off season, because I didn't have an off season last year. I was rehabbing and throwing and building up throughout the entire thing. And in spring training, I wasn't pitching in games first half of this year, but I'm throwing bullpens, 2-3 a week, and then lives, and starting on a 5-day rotation. So it's been a grind, that's for sure. It's been a long year and a half, 2 years. But guys say, like, once you get that full off season, and then you build up and do a normal spring training, that's when things kind of start to feel normal. But for me, I don't even think I would recognize what normal is right now, just because of where I'm at, coming off of surgery, having just started throwing a baseball just a year ago, and now I find myself pitching the World Series.
Is there a difference for you going into a start? Because you said in Seattle. In Seattle, your slider was good. Do you feel like your stuff is different in Toronto, in Seattle, in Toronto, in LA, or in Toronto, roof closed, roof open, like where you can spin it differently?
Yeah, it can be. Absolutely. And that's something I've kind of learned a lot more about this year, just playing in an environment like this with a dome, making some starts with the roof open and with the roof closed, and different wind patterns. And after my first start, I think it was the roof was open, and I was throwing change-ups that I could not land in the strike zone. And I was looking up at the metrics of it, and it was like -4 vertical and -22 horizontal. And that was twice as much movement as I was used to, right? And was trying to make the adjustment mid game and on the mound. So yeah, absolutely. Environment definitely impacts the way the ball moves and the way you might go about pitching, but at the same time you try and just figure it out early on and make the adjustments necessary, and then it doesn't really matter. Nobody cares what the environment's like. You got to go out there and compete.
Interesting that you look at that, by the way, and then you try to make adjustments. How pitching has changed. I mean, it's crazy how pitching is. I look at vertical and horizontal instead of like, man, I really threw a good slider and punched that dude out on that one. So that's what you should tell Schneider. Next time he comes to take you out, you should go like Max and be like, look at the vertical on my slider. It's good right now.
No, and we make fun of ourselves for sure for that. Like, there's definitely a nice balance. You don't want to just like completely rely on that stuff, but sometimes it's nice to add context. So why for the love of God you can't land a changeup, and you've been able to do it for the last 6 months. But at the same time, like now I'm hearing hitters do that too, and they're coming back and looking at the iPads, and so it's not just hitters. Or it's not just pitchers. It's hitters too that are focused on all that stuff, and for better or for worse, it helps them, but it might hurt them as well. So we'll see.
All right, last three, because we know you got to go. Last three, real quick. One, what's it like to be? Because the logo behind you says World Series. You were on the Guardians. You were hurt. You got traded to the Blue Jays. Now you're in the World Series. Explain that feeling to us.
Yeah, hard to explain. Didn't know what was in store for my family and I getting traded over here. What was that, end of July? And, thankfully I knew a lot of guys here. A lot of guys from Cleveland have ended up here in Toronto, and these guys have welcomed me with open arms, and the team, and even guys I didn't know prior to getting traded over here, they've taken amazing care and helped us, my family and I, acclimate so well. And so, really, it's a surreal feeling now, pitching in the World Series and being in the World Series, and this is the most fun I've ever had playing baseball. I'm enjoying every second with these guys, and so I can't wait to continue it. But it's a crazy feeling, that's for sure.
Okay, second one is Bo going to play? Is he going to be out there playing shortstop for you guys tomorrow?
I know he's working his tail off to get to a point to push them hard to make the right decision. I think he's probably already rehabbing or hitting right now. I saw him a little bit earlier, and so I don't know when they got to release the roster, probably tomorrow morning. So I know they definitely have some decisions to make, but you ain't getting that answer from me. And if you think I know, if you think I know, you're crazy, man.
Dang, you're so good at this stuff. You're so good at not answering questions, but not really answering. That's why I wore this shirt. I wore this shirt just for you, okay? Just because I know. Just because I know you're
I'm not worried about the hot Spurs.
Okay, all right. He's not a hot Spur fan. What do you want me to say?
That was your last question?
That was my last question. I wore that shirt just for him. I wanted to see his feelings on it. He just laughed at it.
I love it. I appreciate it.
You're what? You're Chelsea, right? Chelsea fan?
No, Liverpool.
Oh God, even worse. Oh,
shoot, yeah. They're playing more American football games in that stadium than they are European football.
Hey, well, you got to get that money. You got to make that money. Concerts and football.
Exactly.
Phone call.
You're getting a call, and he's got to go anyway.
I know.
So, Shane, thank you for the time. If you can hear us, appreciate you. I know you're getting a call, and we're at time for you. So thanks,
go to Media Day. Have the best time.
Yeah. Good luck.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Shane.
Appreciate you too. Shane Bieber, Toronto Blue Jays. Grant Brisbee next up on the show. A lover's guide to the World Series. Yes, that's next. Hey, this episode of FT is presented by Fox One, and Fox One is now live. Stream all your Fox favorites together in one place. MLB postseason, which is now up to World Series. Shane Bieber.
Watch Shane Bieber pitch game 3 or 4 or 6 or 7 or whenever he won't tell us.
Or which both. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Like, come on, he doesn't know, Kratzy?
I bet he doesn't know. I'm going to go, he was honest. I'm going to say he's honest.
Okay. It's also like Logan Gilbert didn't know when we asked him, and I was like, which one? 1, 2.
He was like, he knew. He was like, am I allowed to say yet?
Yes.
Is it officially announced yet?
Yeah. No, but listen, I mean, he was a great interview, first of all. But you can watch him pitch on Fox One. Mm-hmm. Whether it's probably going to be game 3. And if it goes to game 7, he'll be out there in game 7. But I love his confidence. He's like, when we win the World Series, we're having that party in the locker room.
Trash that, John.
I freaking love it. It's awesome. That's what it's all about right there. And if he's got that good slider going, he owns Shohei too, by the way. 2 for 13 with 6 punchies. That's pretty good.
That is good.
So
Shohei won't be pitching that game, so you're safe. That was the game where the bat woke up.
Who was it that said Shohei didn't do anything special that game? That was a dumb take.
Oh, Rob Parker.
That was a bad take, Rob. I like you, Rob, but that was a bad take.
I'm all for going outside the box, but like you have to give me something. I actually opened up the article and I was like, is he going to say something interesting? And he didn't say anything. He just said like people have hit 3 homers in a game before. People have pitched really well before. I was
but
like,
not in the same game.
Robert.
Anyways,
that was
Robert. I like Rob too. He's a good guy.
I do too. Yeah. We can bring him on.
He's been on, hasn't he?
He's super nice.
Yeah,
we should. I mean, we should get him back
on. He's also a Yankee fan.
Is he?
I think he is.
I mean, maybe that contributes to his take. I don't know. But what I can tell you is 7-day free trial, fox1.com, QR code on the screen, Brady on Sundays. Exactly. And the World Series, which is most important for you right now, Friday night. If you don't know where to find it and you need a spot, you don't have TV, cable, whatever, Fox 1 is your solution. Be right back with Grant Brisbee to talk about that World Series. Grant Brisbee is back on Foul Territory. You can find all of his work in The Athletic. He's one of the funnier writers out there. I'll say it for Grant. He goes for it. He takes chances to try and make you laugh, and I appreciate that. So, Grant, good to see you, and we're bringing you on at least to start here to talk about your latest, The Lover's Guide to the 2025 World Series. So how you doing, and how are you taking care of the lovers out there?
I'm doing very, very well. As you know, I grew up a Giants fan, writing about the Giants, so it's a pleasure to be on here with the Giants catching legend and also AJ Pierzynski.
But I have a bobblehead, Grant. Look at this. I have a Giants bobblehead. You know what? Kratz doesn't have one of those, does he? No, Kratz doesn't. But
not yet. I'm working on it. I got an article in the can.
And Kratz's number isn't retired either by the Giants, like mine is.
Last year, you had me on after writing the Haters Guide to the World Series because it was the Dodgers and Yankees, and it was an annoying matchup. It was a fun matchup. It ended up being a short World Series, maybe not the most even, but a fun World Series. But it was still an annoying World Series leading up to it. So I had a totally different preview in mind, and my editor said, "No, do that for last year. You hate this World Series, right?" But I don't. I like this World Series. This World Series is fun. It's fresh. It's new. So I'm all in.
Okay, why? Give me some more context on why half the World Series is the same from last year, but now you're suddenly in love.
Well, last year, Dodgers-Yankees, look, I know the Yankees haven't had the same success that they had in the turn of the millennium, but they're still the Yankees. They're still a boogeyman. The Cowboys haven't been to a Super Bowl in 35 years. People still get annoyed by the Cowboys, and the Yankees have that same vibe. They're still kind of a payroll bully. They're still in the postseason every year. So you could pick the Yankees, but you didn't feel good about it. The Blue Jays are friendlier. They're named after an annoying bird, but they're named after a bird. They're a fun, new, fresh team. They've got Vladito. They've got so much going for them. They've got a hotshot rookie, and it's a new team and a hungry fan base. Now you have someone to root for if you're not a Dodgers fan. And so you have an entire country rooting against you. And then you've got most of the baseball-loving world rooting against you. And if you're a Dodgers fan, that's perfect. That's perfect. I mean, you don't have to overthink that. It's great. You love it when the world is against you. I mean, right now, I didn't plan this, but, I'm wearing a Golden State Warriors sweatshirt. When they got Kevin Durant, yeah, that was funny. Everyone got mad at the Warriors, and it was one of the best times in my sporting fan life. So I love that everyone has a rooting interest in this World Series.
See, I was going to get on you because you're wearing a Dodger blue sweatshirt and you're a Giants fan. That's unacceptable. So I'm glad that you showed that. because I was like, man, is he really wearing a Dodgers sweatshirt? So what are the reasons if you picked to root for the Dodgers? What were the 3 reasons you said? You're a Dodger fan, you're Sandy Koufax, or what was the third one?
You like Shohei Ohtani. That's reasonable, especially if you're overseas or if you're just getting into baseball. Maybe you're a kid and you live somewhere where there's not a baseball team, or there is and you still love Shohei Ohtani. Totally fine. And it's not like if you choose another reason, like you like the logo, you're a dork. It just means that's what most people, they found their way to the Dodgers by being born into it, by living in a certain area, or being a big fan of Ohtani. The rest of the world falls outside that circle, and it's a pretty big circle.
So do you think Dave Roberts was right that the Dodgers are ruining baseball?
I've thought that since like 1982. And so I'm a little biased. No, I don't think, when you go back, if the Dodgers, how would I put it? They're at least doing it in a way that I don't think you can repeat ad infinitum. I don't think that no matter how hard you want the next Shohei Ohtani, that there's going to be a next Shohei Ohtani. I don't think that the next time there's a Mookie Betts, that his very rich parent franchise will give him up that easily. I think a lot of things have kind of fallen into place, and they have the juggernaut already. They have the structural advantages. Like, I don't want to minimize that, but this kind of Dodgers dominance really relies on Shohei Ohtani, and he's not going to come around again. He's a superhero. This is it. So that's the way to kind of make peace with it.
You're talking me into really liking this matchup. The Dodgers are the evil empire. You've got the star power with guys like Ohtani and Vladdy. But here, I'll add this to the mix, and I know you included this in your all-inclusive article. You have traditional, it sounds weird to even say it, traditional starting pitching, where they actually will keep going in games. And then you also have contact. And I know they can hit with slug too, but contact, top contact team in the sport. That's how you hook me in.
Yeah, that is the promise of a really fun World Series. So even when you have Dodgers, Yankees, it's a great matchup. You have great players on both sides, but you sort of knew how the outs were going to get made. You were going to see a lot of swing and miss. You're going to see a lot of big time swings that were going for the fences and not getting it, but that's their game. This is different. This is a Blue Jays team that loves putting the ball in play. The Dodgers led the majors in strikeouts, so it's not a given that they're just going to whap the ball all over the ballpark, but they put the ball in play, and that's when things happen. It sounds simple, it sounds reductive, but anything can happen when a ball is in play. That is when you get the triple play. That is when you get the triple down the line. You get an inside the park home run. You get someone thrown out at the plate trying for an inside the park home run. You get a routine grounder to short. You get someone making the best play you've ever seen in your life at short. Balls in play are fun. Strikeouts are cool if the moment is right, but balls in play are just, that's why we watch baseball. And I get why teams are strikeout heavy. I get how you maximize your chances of success if the ball isn't in play. But let's see some baseball, and the Blue Jays offer that.
Okay. Before we go to your team, who are you rooting for and who's going to win?
I am a credentialed member of the Baseball Writers Association of America, and I can't officially root for a team.
That's not what I said. That wasn't the question. Who do you want to win and who's going to win? There's no rooting.
Dodgers are going to win.
Okay. Oof.
Yeah, because they're the better team. And yeah, well, you can be a Giants writer and be a fatalist too. I think that fits in with the general ethos. Who do I want to win? Honestly, like, it sounds like a bit, but I just want a fun World Series. I really do just want a game set. Like, to me, the ending of the World Baseball Classic with Ohtani and Trout, it was so perfect. It felt scripted. I want something like that. And I don't care if it's Trout striking out or Trout getting the home run in this analogy, but I want 7 games and I want people to be delirious. The best baseball experience I've ever had in my life was Game 5 of the 2017 World Series. I was in the auxiliary press box in Houston and just watching a ballpark lose its mind in one of the wackiest games I've ever seen. I want that, but without revelations later that maybe might spoil it a little bit.
Okay, so you want Kershaw to close it out for the Dodgers. Cool. As a Giants fan, I understand.
Please.
Okay, but all right, so here's my question. We're going to go to the Giants now. We're going to go to your team. What did you think of the new manager hire? I think it's fascinating. Listen, do I hope Tony Vitello succeeds? 100%. Do I think he's a good college coach? Absolutely. Do we know what kind of MLB manager he's going to be? Absolutely not, but it is going to be mesmerizing to watch who he hires, what staff hires, where he goes, what his game planning is like, what his bullpen. It's going to be must-watch TV for me every night to see how he handles it starting in spring training.
That's really the only way to think about it. The only way to approach this is, this is interesting. This is curious because you've got, not only is he never managed a game in the majors, he's never managed a game in the minors. He's never played a game in the minors. He has as many professional hits as I do. And he's a total unknown. I was thinking about it, and yes, he's a gregarious guy, a leader of men, as they say, and he is supposed to be a very good communicator. All these things that are going to be what you want in any managerial candidate in 2025. But I really do think that one of the things that is a problem with a lot of teams, not just the Giants, but the Giants, is a lack of fundamentals, a lack of just getting people on the same page when it comes to hitting the cutoff man, making the right play, picking up your third base coach as you round the bases. It sounds simple. And I know Bob Melvin cared about that. It's not like he's hearing this for the first time and going, wait a second, you're supposed to do those things. But they needed a new voice, someone who is used to, not surprised when they're seeing a lack of fundamentals, perhaps at the major league level, someone who is able to communicate it without condescending to these high-paid superstars who have never struggled, in their careers when it comes to baseball over like a year-long stretch. It seems to me like they're trying to match that goal of teaching fundamentals with, getting guys on board. Buster Posey's convinced, and it would be different, I think, if anyone else, if it were Brian Sabian or Farhan Zaidi, if they were trying to convince me, I'd be like, okay, that's a big task. When Buster Posey says, I think this will work, then it becomes less risky and more, oh, this is interesting, and we'll see how it works.
Do you feel like he was definitely his number one choice? Or do you feel like someone else denied the position or didn't want to take on what it meant to manage the Giants once they got farther in the interview process?
It was Nick Hundley's job if he wanted it. I don't think that's a secret. I think that, he's super close with Buster Posey. When they met, I'm sure Posey at the time was just thinking for an entire season, this guy's going to be a manager one day. And, baseball works out in funny ways, and he had a chance, but he didn't want to go right back to the grind. And honestly, I don't know how anyone does, retire as a player and then go immediately back to the grind. I feel like I would sleep for 20 years. I can't even believe you guys do this. Like it's so much work to be, a manager, a baseball player, a coach. And when you have kids at home, I'm surprised this doesn't come up more often, but it was Hundley's job if you wanted it.
Okay. Well, we'll see how Tony does. It's going to be fascinating to follow. I'm excited for you. You've got some storylines to follow this coming season for San Francisco. Buster Posey is making things a lot more interesting. I think that's safe to say for the writers out there. He's rooting for fun stories to cover, and there you go. Mm-hmm. Grant, this was great. I'm all in. I already was, but I'm even more all in on the World Series. Always a pleasure talking to you. Check out Grant and all his work in The Athletic, also part of the Roundtable podcast on the Athletic Network. Thank you, Grant. Good talking to you, man.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Appreciate you. Enjoy the Fall Classic. FT fam, Dave Dombrowski coming soon. Next segment, we'll tell the tape with the World Series matchup.
What was it like for you watching the ALCS and watching them go through the playoffs? And how do you think this World Series is going to go? Knowing the guys in that clubhouse, knowing kind of what they're made of, how do you think they're equipped to go against the Dodgers?
Yeah, I think they got as good a chance as anyone, to take down the Dodgers. What's crazy to me is like I look at their roster, look at the position players, and it's not like a crazy drastic change from the team I knew.
Right.
And last year we sold at the deadline. I was one of the guys traded probably like 9 guys or something. Like it was insane. And to see the turnaround, how drastic it is. Whether, and I know they got some new coaches. They got like a new hitting coach and all that stuff. But I don't know. I feel like they just flipped the switch, and those guys, everyone's just raking. Even like 1 through 9, everyone's getting clutch knocks, and like Nathan Lucas. Seeing him, I was up and down with him, riding the option train with him, and just seeing how he's doing. Erik Clement, play with him in AAA too. Just seeing all those guys come into form, and obviously Vladdy. I think just getting Vladdy into the postseason and letting him do his thing was like the biggest thing. When I was there, we never made it past the wild card, and so it's hard to put really good effort into 3 games, and 2 of them we went 2 and out. So it's, just getting Vladdy into the platform for him to shine. And then George just going back to vintage, Houston, George Springer with the homers. I remember watching in 2017, him doing all that stuff. It's just cool to watch. I'm really rooting for those guys. Hope they can take down the Dodgers.
Very cool. Crush City territory, talking to Nate Pearson, one of the first major league signings of this offseason. He signed up for 2026. He chose the Astros because they're going to let him try to be a starting pitcher. Most teams want him as a reliever, but you can get a lot more in that conversation. Great get to start their offseason. So go check that out. QR code is there. Maybe you're a Cubs fan. Maybe you're a Blue Jays fan who remembers how big of a prospect he was and you want to listen to that. Go for it. They really got into a lot of topics there. I mean, plus it's perfect time to get him. He's got time.
Another reason that's okay to trade your prospects. Not saying because he hasn't panned out, but all the guys that he just mentioned that he played with that are now making big splashes with the team currently. And he was like the mega prospect of all of those guys that he had mentioned. So it's okay if you trade your prospects. Eugenio Suarez hit a big grand slam. Traded for prospects. It's littered all over postseason. If you want to make a splash, it's okay.
Agreed.
Charging the mound.
Let's charge the mound, powered by Arena Club. You got to do the classic tail the tape, position by position, and we're going to do it right now. It has nothing to do with the final result of the World Series. That's not how it works, but it's still a fun exercise to go through the positions and see who's got the edge. It's funny, we're doing this while I literally get fresh news from John Schneider and the Blue Jays about Bo Bichette, because I think that the Bo Bichette factor has to do with who is regularly playing where, and he essentially said that Bo still has to check some boxes and that all 3 routes are still in play for Bo. DH, shortstop, bench bat.
Yep, that's kind of what I'm thinking there, Kratzy.
Wait.
But I'm not saying it because I'm getting killed on it.
And he even mentioned second base.
He did. I think he did play second base a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's hard to throw him out.
Everything is in play. Everything is
that to me sounds like he's not really ready. We're going to give him every shot, but at the end of the day, we're going to use the "you're not ready, Bo" trick. Again, I don't know.
They've got tests to do. So that affects.
I guess one of the options wasn't him saying he's not going to be on the roster.
He's going to be on the roster.
Oh, he's for sure?
No, not for sure. He's got to check boxes to be sure. Remember
Did you watch him run? Did you watch that video of him running?
Yeah, that was last round.
Yeah, but that was a week ago.
Yeah, that was so 1 week ago. There was a more recent one.
Okay.
And?
Maybe it was his first warm-up run. Let's put it this way. Didn't look shortstop ready. So maybe we can cross one of those off the list.
Cue the comments. These guys don't know what they're talking about.
You're right.
Blah, blah, blah.
I've never played shortstop.
Leagues.
Neither has AJ.
All right, here we go.
True.
Catcher.
Oh, see, now normally I would say Will Smith, but because he was a little banged up and he missed so much time at the end, I'm kind of leaning Alejandro Kirk a little bit here.
I'm playing along, but you're a catcher too, Kratz, so you go first, and then I'll decide.
I'll go Will Smith. I think I think Kirk showed some signs of wear. Can that change? Absolutely, because you're like you don't feel tired, as AJ was quoted last week. You don't feel tired, but I'm gonna say Will Smith and him are both some type of banged up. So equal. I'm gonna go Will Smith.
Okay. I think there's equal parts, but for me, I think Kirk has the framing advantage. And if you look at his framing numbers in this postseason, he's been insane, especially getting some low strikes. So I'm going Kirk.
Better umpires.
Yeah, we're gonna have
now.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Okay. I'll believe it when I see it. Next up, first base. Should
Vlad,
be easy, right?
I love Freddie Freeman,
Yeah.
but Vlad, just if he stays as hot as he's been, I mean, it's Vlad.
There's not many better than Freddie, but Vlad is.
It'd be very hard pressed for me not to pick Freddie, but I got to go Vlad.
Freddie had a nice World Series last year, but Vladdy.
Clean sweep.
Okay, good. So this is where things get interesting because it depends on
who plays,
what Bo does. But second base, I mean, Tommy Edman on the Dodgers side, he's got the ankle issue. He's playing infield only. Second base could be Bo, could be IKF, could be Ernie Clement.
I'm still going Tommy Edman. He's done it in the postseason. He switch hits. He can run a little bit. I'm going Tommy Edman over honestly any of those three because we don't know if Bo IKF is been okay. Obviously doesn't hit the way he does, and then Ernie Clement we just don't know. He's not going to be out there enough. So I'm going Tommy Edman.
Okay.
You can't say Ernie Clement other than the fact that he hit 480 in the playoffs so far. But Ernie Clement might get pinch hit for. I can't choose somebody that's going to get pinch hit for in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning, even though he's had an incredible postseason, over Tommy Edman.
Why is he going to get pinch hit for?
Because they could play the matchup. He has been pinch hit for.
Yeah. Not much, right?
Oh, but he has been. I mean, he's been. It's crazy to say Ernie Clement is hitting 4 whatever he did in the postseason, and to still pick Tommy Edman. I like Tommy Edman.
Yeah, I'm riding the hot hand. I'm actually going to go Clement. Shortstop should be easy. Mookie.
Shortstop's Mookie.
Yeah,
it's easy.
Third base.
I mean, our guy Muncy, bro. I'm not picking against my guy Muncy.
Kratz.
Yep. Muncy.
Left field.
Addison Barger.
No, he's in right field.
Yeah, he's in right unless Springer's in right. And
unless Springer's in right.
It's a tough exercise.
Who's playing left for the Dodgers?
Kike.
Oh, Kike in the World Series, bro. Come on.
Nathan Lucas, left field. Jace.
I'll still take Kike just because he's Kike in the World Series.
He's proven it.
Okay. George Springer might be somewhere, but
center field, Varsho for me.
Yeah. Pius really has struggled.
By the way, Yesavage is starting game 1, FYI.
Yes.
Wow. No Gossman. Interesting.
We're almost done.
Okay.
Center field, I think.
Center field is Varsho for me.
And I'm with you guys on Kike.
Yep. It would have been Pies, but Pies struggled the second half so much.
Let's say right field is Teoscar Hernandez and Addison Barger matchup.
I'm taking Teo for the bat.
Yeah.
I mean, Barger defensively takes it and he can swing it. Just the history of Teo. It's hard because they have such a long postseason history of some of these guys. That's why Teo, he's get big hits. He got big hits against Philly. He got big hits in the LCS. Like, he just gets big hits. Yeah, sure, he'll drop a fly ball, but usually knocks in more than he lets in.
I think Barger's going to be a huge key to this series. Besides the Snell game, he's going to be facing a tough lefty there, but he's going to be a huge key because a lot of the big pieces are going to be right-handed coming out of Dodgers pen. So I think Barger's going to have a huge impact, but history says Teo's the guy.
Okay, DH Ohtani, obviously, versus George Springer. I mean, I know, but it's
I know.
It's not like a big edge. George Springer.
It's a gigantic edge.
It's a gigantic edge.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
At the plate.
I'm sorry.
Do you think it's a gigantic edge based on their postseason pedigree?
I'm just
George
saying.
Springer is
Look
clutch,
at that pretty card.
I've got Ohtani. I got it.
Okay.
But I'm saying I don't think like it's this massive edge for them at that
then,
spot.
Then
Springer's the DH.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. That's fine. Starting pitching.
Dodgers.
Thank you.
Dodgers.
Bullpen. Coin flip. I got Blue Jays.
Okay. We'll go Blue Jays.
There's more depth.
Well, no, the problem is
Marlin doesn't have to pitch.
Who?
Little.
I've seen a little
Flew
bit.
Hardy. Lauer. Like, those are the guys to me. We'll get to X-Factors. Those are the guys to me. They're the X-Factors. How will their lefties handle the Dodger lefties?
Yep. Kratz, who are you going with?
Because it didn't work. They didn't work very much. If Louis Varland doesn't have to pitch all 7 games, I think the Jays are more consistent out of the pen. And I think the Dodgers have a higher ceiling out of the pen.
Coin flip. See?
Mm-hmm. And guess what? Everything we just said doesn't matter because that's not how games are decided, where you go, which team has this position better than that. But it was a fun exercise. Bo Bichette ruined it, but in a fun way, because we'll see how he fits in for this World Series. Hey, right now, you can get 20% off your first card purchase or slab pack over at arenaclub.com/foul. They helped us out with a little wallpaper during this segment, as you saw some shiny cards from players that are going to be in the World Series. So use the code FOUL when you get there, or download the app and use it. Get 20% off your first card or slab pack purchase. Next up, leader of the front office for the Philadelphia Phillies, Dave Dombrowski, joining us on FT. Hey, we're back, and I'll look to the chat as best as possible to see what other questions you have for Dombrowski, and also questions for us about what we've talked about World Series-wise right now. I'm looking through what everyone said. We could talk about this for 2 minutes because we don't have it scheduled somewhere else. Trey Yesavage over Kevin Gausman for Game 1. Did they give context on?
I don't know. I just saw who's going to pitch.
How that lines up.
How many days was that for Gausman?
Oh, to give him an extra day.
That's what I mean, because he started Game 7. I mean, he started Game 6.
That's plenty of time. That was
Sunday.
Sunday.
I'm saying, how many is that? Is that
That's
just
4.
a regular 5?
Monday to Friday, that would be a regular.
Gausman started Game 5, no? Wasn't Yesavage Game 6?
Yes, he started Game 5, so he's had plenty of rest. But he
time.
did pitch an inning in the Game 7, so maybe that's why it is.
That's probably
okay.
why.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I thought it was out there in Game 7, but I'm like,
yeah,
he pitched an inning in Game 7.
He did.
Pitched like the 7th inning or something.
Because he had to face Raleigh, and I was like, no way they're going to let him face Raleigh, and then they intentionally walked him.
Yeah. And then he got out of the first and second. Remember, he walked the next guy too, I think.
I'm pretty sure, and you can say this about a lot of guys, that he's one of those where if you give him an extra day or two, his numbers just skyrocket in a good way.
But he's already had plenty of time. If he pitched, that would have been Friday he pitched. That would have been a week. That would have been a week Friday to Friday.
Career high 193 innings in the regular season. He pitched on an extra day of rest for 6 straight starts to end the season and ended up with the best velocity of the year in September. So I'm such a nerd. I read articles late at night and put notes down, and it's really nice when one happens.
Yesavage will be on regular rest, though.
Yeah, that's why. So it makes sense.
It's fine. Whatever. Yeah. Listen, they know their team's better than we do.
You have veterans also. The Matt Boyd situation, I think, points out that you better make sure that your guy is 1 billion% of what he is right now, right? If one day makes the difference and he's going to get 2 starts, presumably in this World Series anyway, if it goes long, then you go Gausman Game 2.
Yeah. Yesavage versus Snell, though. That's a matchup.
That's sick.
And then Gausman versus Yamamoto, Game 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then Glasnow
versus Bieber. Ohtani versus Scherzer. These are really good.
You can sell those. Fox, you can sell those. Fox 1, you can sell those.
When we say, hey,
even
what's
in
on the
Canada.
headline? Yeah. Phillies President of Baseball Operations, Dave Dombrowski, joining the show right now. Dave, good to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How about yourselves?
Very good.
Finally.
We got it.
Gosh, I've been chasing this dude for years. Finally got a fellow Pollock to come on the show.
I wonder if he was ever.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because that means we got knocked out of the playoffs. So that's the unfortunate part of it.
Yes. I didn't want that. I didn't want that, but yes, I'm proud that we find it. So thank you because I've had to go to other booths to try to find this guy. I've had to chase down Brian Barber. I've had to chase down Sam Fold. I've had to chase down Jorge, what's his name? Jorge Valendia. Yeah, I had to chase through him. I'm like, can we just get to talk to Dave Dombrowski?
Dave's around. He's
an
everyday guy. Dave, did you ever try and acquire AJ?
No.
No. I did not do that.
Well, now you're stuck with
him.
He
beat me too many times when he was with the White Sox, so he beat me too often.
Yeah, I wasn't good enough. He had Victor Martinez and Alex Avila and all those all-star guys. It just had me down there just schlepping away.
You're an all-star too. So. Hey, first of all, Well, so let's get into it. I mean, first of all, what do you think of the World Series matchup? Obviously, the team that's representing the National League knocked out your team. So what do you think of what you've seen from them?
Well, I hope it's a great series. I mean, I've, of course, been watching the other league, too, with Seattle and Toronto. I'm watching them play throughout. But the Dodgers are really good. And I think any club that plays them at this point has their work cut out for them. And for me, it's primarily their starting pitching. And their starting pitching is top of the level right now. So if you're scoring runs off of them, you're doing a pretty good job. The biggest question for me is with Toronto also has a very good club. When you take this 1 week layoff that the Dodgers are going to take, that sometimes it does affect your hitters, and will your pitchers hold them down enough to not give them any runs, basically. But if you're going to beat the Dodgers as the defending champs, you're going to really play well.
Do you look at that series when you guys played against them? Do you look back and go, man, because they had a higher payroll or because of a move I didn't make, that's why they won? Or do you watch the games and go, we were in the right spot? Our lineup had more hits. Our starting pitching outpitched their starting pitching, which has gotten all these flowers the rest of the postseason. You had them in 3 of the 4 categories of baseball, except for the wins and losses.
Yeah, I look at it more, and it's a great question because you can look at it so many different ways. And basically, when you lose, they all break your heart. But I really looked at it. They went toe to toe with a really, really good club, and we're in a position where you look at the first game, a bad pitch, 3-run homer, and all of a sudden we lose 5-3. The second game, very unfortunate as far as a bunt that we put on that didn't work at that particular time. The tying run on second base with nobody out in the 9th inning. Third game, of course, we won, and look what happened in the 4th game. We saw that as far as it. So the way I look at it is, and even in that second game, I've talked about it. In the case that they scored 4 runs in 1 inning, well, Kirkering came in, busted the bat, broke the bat. Turner comes in, makes a good play, throws it to the plate. The ball goes to the first base side of the plate rather than the third base side. Very understandable. He's rushed. The ball's on the third base side. They don't score any runs that inning. So it's just that close. And I look at the difference between us as being very, very small. But yet they beat us, and that's all it counts. So you got to look at trying to get better this year and do it any way you possibly can because they're not going away.
Dave, I saw John Middleton last week or so, and it was talking to him. And I said to him, I was like, you're going to get one. First of all, I said, you're going to get one. Just stay the course. And he gives you that look like, I hope so, right? But then he brought up the strike 3 with Sanchez, the one that was called a ball in the ABS and all that. I've heard your comments on that. I mean, if that strike 3 goes the other way, then you don't have the inning with the whole thing where they tie the game and then the Kirkering thing doesn't probably happen. Do you feel that? I know you've said it, but do you really feel that way that if the umpire calls that ball in strike 3, then that changes? It's 2-2. You guys come back to Philly and anything can happen because, man, Christopher Sanchez pitched awesome that night.
Yeah, you never know how it's going to go. I mean, it might make a difference at a particular time. I was thinking back, and this was, you guys will remember this, but in 2009, I was with the Tigers, and we played the Minnesota Twins in game 163. We tied. We played in Minnesota. We lost the game. We lost it in extra innings. And there was a pitch that hit Brandon Inge that would have given us a 2-run lead. And the home plate umpire at that time, Randy Marsh, tremendous umpire, good umpire. We didn't have replay at that time. Saw the replay afterwards and was heartbroken because he missed the call. Would have given us, it would have been a different game at that point. We would have gone into potentially at that point, if everything else would have followed a pattern, we'd have gone on and played in the ALCS at that time. So, or ALDS at that time. So you never know what's going to happen from there, but it gives you a better chance, of course, because it keeps you alive at that particular time.
Have you had a personal conversation with Kirkering? And do you guys have something with the organization in place to check in with him? Because I think there's a lot of people, Dodgers and Phillies fans and baseball fans, who are heartbroken for the kid.
Yeah, I feel terrible for him, and he's a quality kid, and he's a good pitcher. Yes, I spoke to him after the game. I spoke to him when we got back here. We do have the type of support system that will stay in contact with them throughout the wintertime. I think you need to have them a little time to breathe, but for sure, we will definitely do that because I'm sure he's heartbroken too. Again, tough kid, but we need to have the type of support system, and we do within the organization, from the mental end of it, from the coaching end of it, from the front office end of it, that we'll all stay in contact with him and make sure that he's doing as well as he possibly can.
Dave, by the way, I hate to bring up bad memories. That 2009 game that was an awesome game. I know you guys lost. It was extra innings. I mean, that was an awesome game. And the umpires, they hated y'all before replay. Between that and the Andres Galarraga perfect game, I mean, man, y'all had some terrible calls. I'm sorry. No, I mean, geez, yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, then you had the David Ortiz. I mean, I'm just thinking about, because obviously I know all these because I was in the Central for all. Like they had the David Ortiz grand slam where Torrey Hunter almost killed him. I mean, there was like, gosh dang. I look back and the thing for me about I know you're with the Phillies now, but when I look back on the Tigers, how close you guys were year in and year out, like to just finally getting over the 84, right? I mean, 12 you lost to the Giants, 13 obviously the Red Sox. I mean, I'm just like, gosh, if I was Dave, I'm like, you get so close and you just
You're absolutely, but as you know, the game breaks your heart, right? Is what it does. That's what makes winning so, feel so great. I mean, I'll go back in my own, and you look at the Braves when they won the one World Championship. I was just telling the guys here, we were looking at 11 of the last 14 years I've been with a club that's been in the postseason, right? One time we won. Well, that means 10 other times you went home with your heart broken. Sometimes you think you have a club that should win it. Sometimes you always feel you can win it. But you also know that sometimes you're facing somebody that is just a better team, and you do your best to win it. But so many heartbreaks, and that's just you have to bounce back. You have to come back the next year. You have to regroup and try to get yourself better. But it doesn't do you any good to just keep on crying over them, because we'd be crying a lot. So you have to move forward.
All right, we buttered you up with the easy ones. Now I'm going to ask you the hard one from the player's point of view. Your comments about Bryce, do you feel like they were misconstrued? Because we talked about it on here, and I was kind of like, I don't know, maybe it's a little motivation. Which do you feel like your comments about him, not being elite right now, or if he'll ever get back to being elite? Because you are honest, and we appreciate honesty in baseball. That is like the greatest trait besides hitting homers.
Well, and it's, of course, got a life of its own. I said so many things in a 1-hour press conference, and this is the one thing that gets out there. First of all, I mean, to me, Bryce Harper is one of the best players in the game of baseball. And when I say he didn't have, they asked me, what type of year did you think he had? And I said, he had a very good year. I don't think he had an elite year. And when I say that, when I think of Bryce Harper, it's a compliment, because the reality is there are, 8, 10 players in the game of baseball every year. When they're not, let's say, in the MVP consideration, for whatever reason, sometimes it can be an injury factor, sometimes they just have a bad year, but whatever, it's not an elite year for them. So the reality is that he's a great player. He's a future Hall of Famer. This thing's got a life of its own. Now I've been reading that, the Phillies may trade Bryce Harper. That couldn't be further from the truth. We love him. I think he's a great player. He's a very important part of our team. I've seen him have better years. I look for him to have better years. But I think what ends up happening, and this is not meant for him, and I was reading an article yesterday. It wasn't about Bryce. It was actually about Kyle Schwarber that Mike Schmidt talked about. And I thought it was so good. And I was looking back at my Miguel Cabrera days. Probably the best, as good a player that I've been around year in, year out, and got to 33. And he had won the Triple Crown. He had been the MVP 2 years in a row, and he wasn't quite the same player. Well, Mike Schmidt's comments, because I asked him about Kyle, said, you're getting into your middle 30s, moving a little bit into your late 30s. If you can stay healthy, continue a really, really strong workout program in the offseason, your flexibility has to be there. Your bat speed obviously has to stay up. Your eyes have to stay. You've got to be able to see. I have a 20/20 vision when I played, and it's more important to get good eyesight as you go along. There's a lot of non-mechanical baseball swing issues that have to stay right. So basically, that's what happens with every player. I mean, the reality. Now, I take my chances with Bryce more than most, because Bryce is an elite talent, and he's a very, very talented individual, and he's driven. So I think that it's a shame where this has gone, because it wasn't meant to be a criticism. It was just he didn't have to me. And when you talk about Bryce, and again, there's a few other guys, when they aren't in the MVP considerations, well, it's probably not as good a year as that they've had other times.
All right. So does that mean you're signing him to an extension? Because remember, was it last year he wanted an extension? So, I mean, just keep signing him, Dave. I mean, why not? It's not your money. Just sign away.
Fortunately, he's already got a long contract with us, so we're in pretty good shape.
Okay. All right, that's fair. That's fair. But he's looking for those, to play till he's 50. So he wants, 10 more years or whatever.
Yeah.
He was at.
I hope it happens. I hope it happens for him. Yes.
Yes. Yes. You just don't want to be the guy to sign him in case it does happen, because then, it could be your neck on the line. But I get it. I know how you.
Yeah.
Listen,
my neck's been on the line before, so it wouldn't be the first time. And that's it.
Listen. We're both in the Polish Sports Hall of Fame, okay? So we see each other, okay? We get it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. No question.
So, all right. What about the other guys that are free agents? Schwarber obviously is the big name, but Ranger Suarez has been great for you. Real Muto is there. Do you know your payroll yet? Has Mr. Middleton come to you and said, hey, Dave, this is what you're going to have, and this is what we have to work around? Or does that happen later in the offseason?
Well, every owner's different with whom I worked. John and I stay in close contact with that. We know it's a really big winter time for us, so we've been talking about this for weeks. And I proposed something to him. He's given me an approval on it, so I know where my payroll is, and it's still a very hefty payroll. But I still think it's a challenge. It's going to be hard to sign all of our players just because there's so many of them, and we're also challenged with some younger players that finally in our system are ready to step in and play for us after a couple of whiles. A guy like Justin Crawford, Andrew Pater, we feel will be ready to play with us this year. We've got a young kid by the name of Aiden Miller. That was a #1 pick. That's a very, very talented individual. So we're going to it's going to be a tough winter. We're going to have to do a lot of balancing. I think we have a chance to still really have a good club, because I think we'll bring some of the guys back. We'll have financial wherewithal. And I think anytime you can have a system, Wheeler should be back. Anytime you can throw Wheeler, you can throw Sanchez, you can throw Luzardo, you can throw Nola as your top 4. No matter what happens with Suarez, you're in pretty good shape to move forward.
Well, do you have an update on Wheeler, where he's at with his rehab, but also as far as where he's at if this blood clot situation was completely taken care of and won't reoccur after they took the rib out and the thoracic out?
Yes, I do, because I saw him the other day. It was actually down, I think it was Tuesday, he was down in the clubhouse. So he's going to be in Philadelphia all winter time. Our head athletic trainer, Paul Bukite, was working with him at that particular day. So I chatted with him. He showed me his scars. He feels no pain. He said he feels great. They're now getting to the point where they need some more flexibility with them. And this should have cleared it up. They're not anticipating any setbacks, not expecting this to occur once again. So he's in a solid position. Now the timing will be, it was given to us from 6 to 8 months that he will be ready. Again, he's a gifted athlete. He's elite and with his talent, his genes, just like Bryce is in that regard. So we're hopeful it'll be on the front end, which would even get him ready for opening day. But right now he's doing very good, and he's going to stay here all winter, committed to getting ready as soon as he possibly can.
That's great to hear. Somebody coming back from something like that. You had mentioned late in the game kind of somewhat killed you. Earlier in the season, in the playoffs, late in the game kind of killed you guys a little bit there. Earlier in the season, Jose Alvarado tested positive for PED. And can you tell me your reaction to that in the sense of anger, sadness, the fact that we're, you as a team are building kind of around him also to be a big piece of that late inning. And then the season ends where you guys lose kind of late in the game. It would have been nice to have a Jose Alvarado. You have an option. Do you feel the positive drug test will come into the decision of re-signing him, picking up his option or not?
Yeah, I think when you talk about the emotions at the time, I think I would describe as all of them. You're upset because here you go, your top reliever at that time is getting suspended. You're angry. I'm also then have a good relationship with Jose, and between he and then Jorge Velandia, we came in. I got the whole story from his perspective. There was a part of me that felt sad for him because I don't think he was trying to do anything. When you look at Jose Alvarado, the last thing he needs to do is get stronger. He's trying to lose weight on it because he's as strong as an ox. So I felt bad for him in that, and I knew when he came back, it was very tough to get ready then and pitch. So I don't think that the testing perspective will affect us what goes into the wintertime decision. We have to decide what we want to do with that, but I'll be surprised if he's not back with us. And it breaks your heart. But it's one of those, the other part with it for a while, like with us, we got Duran at the trading deadline. He did a fantastic job for us. We signed David Robertson, who pitched well for us, and then maybe a little bit less later in the year. But we had felt that one of our left-handed relievers would be able to go into the bullpen for us and help us in the postseason because we had Wheeler, we had Suarez, we had Luzardo, we had Sanchez. Well, all of a sudden, when Wheeler went down, that also eliminated that possibility. So there's just so much that goes into the overall aspect of how you put your club together. But I think if all of a sudden we had one of those guys coming out of the bullpen too, you never know how, again, things would take place, but we didn't.
Dave, how did you go with your philosophy? Because I love it. I mean, you will go to win every year, right? You're like prospects. You're like AJ Preller in San Diego. Now you keep them around a little bit more maybe than Preller does, but you're like, I'm going for it. Listen, we have to trade our fourth and third and second best prospect, and we might keep Painter, we might keep Miller, but we're going to trade everyone else and go get the guys we need. I love that as a former player. How come more GMs aren't like that? And they always want to say, well, 10 years from now, our 17th best prospect. First of all, no team has 17 prospects, but our 17th best prospect might be a bench guy for us in 10 years.
Well, I was lucky when I first started in baseball, and I started with the White Sox. Roland Heeman was the general manager, and he was my mentor, a great baseball man. And he basically puts into your mind, you don't have a chance to win all the time. So within reason, if you have a chance to win, you go for it. And that's really been my philosophy. Now, when I say that, within reason, you want to keep some prospects. I remember way back when we had Justin Verlander and people were offering me pretty good big league players for him. I said, well, I don't think we're going to trade Verlander. So you do that, but you don't want that web to be too large because you're in a position where the reality is a lot of them don't make it to be quality big league players. They may make it to the big leagues. So just juggling that act all the time. And then, of course, you have to have ownership support. So you work closely with ownership. If you're with a club, way back when I was with, in the beginning when I was with the Florida Marlins back at that time, we were looking to build at that particular time because we were starting from scratch. So you're looking with a different philosophy. But when you have a chance to win and you can go for it within reason, and I think you also, a lot of people forget, if you're going to get quality, you have to give quality. And so a lot of times people want to get somebody that's really good, but they don't want to give anybody up. And that's tough to do. If you can, bless you and make that type of deal, but it doesn't happen very often.
Agreed. So you brought it up. I was going to wait till the end, but since you brought him up, the White Sox, okay? I know Roland Heeman. I've known him forever, okay? But the question I want to know is there's two things. Tony La Russa was fired by Hawk. You were let go by Hawk. Okay, how come Jerry didn't bring you back like he did with Tony to be the GM, president of baseball ops? And then second of all, I don't know this, and I've known Hawk since I was in high school, so I've known Hawk for 35 years. Do you and him talk? Are you guys friends? Because I don't know. I don't know the answer to this question.
Well, I guess Jerry thought Tony was better than me. That's probably why he did that. So that's probably why he did that at that particular time. And I have a good relationship with Jerry, so he's been very good to me throughout my career and been very, very nice. In Hawk's case, there really was a long time in which I did not speak with him. I would say hi to him because we passed each other. He is a broadcaster with the White Sox and me with the other organizations, primarily with Detroit during that time period. But when I went to Boston, I remember he called me about something to congratulate me, and we talked for a while. And so I'm not, best of friends. Like Tony La Russa and I are very good friends. Jim Leland and I are very good friends. We talk on the phone all the time. I'm not like that with Hawk, but if Hawk was here, I would have very civil conversation with him and respect what he accomplished in the game.
All right, I got one question for you with Topper. You guys, we hear all the time about, they got to change something up. This team wins in the regular season. They don't win in the postseason. I would disagree with that because there has been wins. It's just been close games. Do you guys ever talk with Topper about changing the lineup up for the playoffs? Or if that was the case, you change the lineup for the regular season and then you just go into the playoffs and hope you win?
Yeah, we talk about that. We talk about a lot of different things. A lot of times, and I basically say we talk about everything. I always leave, the way I look at it, I leave the manager's decisions to make the lineup up. My responsibility is to supply the players for him. But I'm in a position where we work very closely together. We give him all the information that he wants. We do talk, a lot of times it's the matchup of the team. For example, this year we talked about, as we went on, should we split the two left-handed hitters, Harper and Schwarber? because it makes us somewhat susceptible to left-handed pitching when you do that. Talked about it, but the reality, after we looked into it, they're two of our better hitters against left-hand pitching, and they hit left-hand pitching very well. So you talk about those type of things all the time, and you look at the other club's bullpen, you look how they shape up, what they might match up against you late in the game. And Topper's on top of all of those type things. So he's really got a good feel of that. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, as we know. And I've been around some great managers that make decisions that don't work at a particular time, but doesn't take away about how good that they do their job.
Dave, as we get to the World Series, would you play Bo Bichette? And how do you judge if you can play a guy or not? Because it's kind of one of the major topics going to the World Series. You had Trey Turner, who had the hamstring, came back for the playoffs. But Bo Bichette's been out since, I think, September 6th-ish, 5th, 6th-ish. So it's been almost 6 weeks now. How do you judge if a player is ready to play, especially a position like shortstop where you need movement?
Right. I can't speak for Bo because, of course, don't know enough about his particular situation. Yes. But like for us with Trey, what we do is you want to make sure, can he play hard? Is he healthy? Can he give you what you need? So, for example, part of Trey's equation was the speed that he brings to the game. So over the time period, we wanted to make sure that we worked with him to make sure that he could run. And then we brought pitchers in to actually face him. He used the machines and all that, but we brought some pitchers from the minor leagues that were pretty good so he could see live pitching at that time. So really the evaluation is, can he play up to the level where he's not going to hurt him? You never want a guy to hurt themselves. But can you play up to a level that will contribute to us without hurting himself? And then you really, I mean, we watched him run. He ran very well. He got better and better as time went on. And his swing got better and better as time went on. The timing got better. So I think it's an evaluation. Then of course, if you play a guy, and depending on what the injury is, will you hurt yourself worse? If you think the guy's going to hurt himself a lot worse, you're probably going to stay away from that too. But when you start talking about people like Turner and Bichette, they're tremendous players. So sometimes 75 or 80% of them might be better than somebody else that's 100%. So those are all the type of things that you go into play. And I rely a great deal on our medical staff. Our medical staff's outstanding. And they know what it takes. So they've been around for a long time. And so between them, our doctors, they give you a pulse of, hey, I feel comfortable to go ahead and play this guy. It's not a problem. He'll be okay. Or, hey, I'd be careful because I think if he runs full bore, he's going to be in a position where he blows it out.
That's great insight. Dave, thanks so much for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. Look at the smile on AJ's face.
Listen, anytime we can get fellow Polish Hall of Famers on the show, we need more of them. So I'm happy to talk to those people.
Thanks. I'm glad we can make it. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you were great.
And give Brian Barber a raise for me, okay? And tell him I said that.
I'll tell him. He'll appreciate that. So I'll see you on Monday.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Have a good one.
Take care.
Yeah, thank you. That was great. We got to get more GMs on. Now that gets me cranking again, thinking like we need to get more GMs on. Some are so methodical, and then there's guys like Dave who just talk like a normal person, and he's great. It's probably out of 30, how many do you think are like Dave these days? Anthopoulos, we don't have to go through all the names, but those kind of guys where when you talk to them, you feel like you're talking to a person and it's not a calculated job interview where they use all the
10.
buzzwords. You think 10? So 10 that really have the chops, and then 20 that are like blah, blah.
Maybe 15. Maybe 15.
50?
Because there's a few without even thinking about it that I can think definitely have the personalities. And I think the personality of a GM, I know it's player of baseball operations, president of baseball operations, but the GM, it's the same job, but they used to be like very arrogant, very like standoffish. They never were in the clubhouse. Now that role has completely changed. Even since I started playing, which I don't feel like has been that long ago.
My thing is there is a psychology component that keeps getting amplified with anyone in management in baseball. Would you agree?
Yeah.
More psychology now than there used to be.
And nobody wants to give anything away. Nobody wants to tell you anything. It's like weird.
It's calculated.
Everything is.
Yeah.
Everyone has to speak, and Dave is a real dude. Like, he's just telling us. It's great.
I think
we've had a couple. The guy in Cincinnati, Kroll.
Yeah.
He was awesome. Yep. JJ Piccolo, we've had him on.
Yeah, JJ's good.
Piccolo's great. Arnold's great.
Yep.
Drop is great. And Anthopoulos is great.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, obviously. I tell you who we need to get on, Scott Harris.
Scott Harris.
The Tigers guy.
Yeah.
Dana Brown is great.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Dana Brown's good. Yeah, we got to get Scott Harris. We got to get Brian Cashman.
We got to check the air conditioning.
I can maybe get a hold of I can maybe try and get Scott Harris, but yeah, Friedman was great. You know who else was great? Neander, when we had him in spring training with his bucket hat on. That was awesome. Good. Yep. Plus, these guys are good if you can get them to open up. David Stearns, every time I see him, I kind of laugh because I'm like, will you give me an answer or are you going to give me GM talk?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you know how it is. And I'm like, dude, come on.
No, come on. He's got a long-term – I'm saying he should be more comfortable.
Brandon Gomes was awesome when he came on.
Yeah. Brandon, though, sometimes will be very hidden with stuff. You guys got him going a little bit. Sometimes he can be tough to crack on info.
Relievers are easy to crack.
Especially when you played against them. Hot corner. The hottest mess in baseball is the Angels. They are the hottest mess in baseball. Literally the hottest mess in baseball. Yes, literally the hottest mess in baseball.
They have air conditioning.
Do they or don't they? I mean,
how are the amenities? How are the amenities?
Is air conditioning an amenity or not?
No.
It's not. Okay. So we have multiple messes to clean up, and it's such hot fire that can't be distinguished right now because they don't have someone to fix the air conditioning. So we're going to start there, and eventually we'll veer towards what the back and forth conversation was like in their defense. Eventually, just to give you a preview of what we're going to talk about here, we'll talk about a job opening for anybody that's good at fixing AC units. And we will, of course, also include the fact that they did something historic with their new manager hire. But let's start at the top here because FT fueled the fire. There are a lot of puns being thrown out there. Yusei Kikuchi is not going to go on the record under contract with the team and say, it kind of sucked that I was so freaking sweaty, and I think he had to leave one start a little earlier than we thought towards the end of the year because I am sweating balls.
No, he said he was like cramping, remember? He was cramping because when he did his workout, there was no air conditioning.
He's not saying anything like that. He is a respectful man and a veteran in our game. He had to go on the record screaming, crying, can someone fix this? Kevin Pillar is a host on our show, and he confirmed. Hold on.
Jeremy, we can't hear you also.
Hey, we're hearing you on the main show. Hold up.
Boom, boom.
All right. So let's start there. We're still hearing you guys. Still hearing you.
Hey, Bob. How are you?
Still hearing you.
Bob.
Well.
Hey. You're on live TV without your beautiful face.
Hold on.
So we're just going to have to wait, Bob, because I got lots of questions for you.
Should we shelve this and just go here? I'm waiting for the production team to help me out here and let me know if we're going to go this direction. Okay. How about we take a break and we'll get okay. Let's take a break. Yeah, let's take a break and we'll get ready for Bob Costas, and we'll obviously rehash where we were going on our
No one else can hear but you, me, and Kratz. Could you hear Bob?
Oh, yeah.
Just us three. No one else. The audience couldn't hear. So we're talking to a ghost.
Amazing. Well, for some insight, we're trying to use a different service to get Bob on here for a good little 15-minute sesh. So let's try and we'll hyperspeed that and we'll be right back.
We're still...
Yep. On Foul Territory. Bob, good to see you.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Doing great.
Nice to see you, not just hear you in my ears. We're talking about the Angels, so it's amazing.
Hey, let's start with the good stuff, though. Bob, so what do you have for us on this World Series? And do you believe Doc Roberts and how he says the Dodgers are ruining baseball?
You know, that played well to his team. That played well in the stadium. It played well to Dodger Nation. It plays into the resentments that many baseball fans have, understandably, of those who play, as Brian Kenny puts it, hedge fund baseball, and those teams like the Brewers and like some others who have to be more resourceful and nonetheless succeed, but they feel like they're outmanned. But that was Roberts in the exuberance of the moment. We all know that Doc is a really good guy. He respects the game. He wasn't trying to insult anybody or anything like that. What I do know about this series, two things. People still seem to look at baseball the same way they would at a football game, where when one team has clear advantages, they'll press those advantages. The quarterback touches the ball on every play. Michael Jordan or LeBron James touch the ball almost every time down the floor. Wayne Gretzky plays extra shifts in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It doesn't work that way in baseball. Baseball's more random. So it looks like the Dodgers are just pile driving past everybody. Milwaukee won 97 games, best in baseball. They blew them out. If Toronto wins game 1 tonight, it's very close to a certainty that the series at least comes back to Toronto for games 6 and 7. And we know what happened with Seattle when they came back home down 3-2. Are the Dodgers the favorites? Absolutely, and they should be. But if you know anything about baseball and its history, are they prohibitive favorites? No.
All right, Bob, listen, this sounds like your Yankees back in the 90s and the 2000s, right? They had to spend more money and they were just better, but they didn't win every year, right? So, I mean, now it's just the Dodgers' turn to do this, and the Yankees won all those, and everyone hates a team, or they want to root against a team just as much, if not more, than they want to root for another team. But you get more, as you know, you get more eyes on you when people want to see you lose than they do when they want to see somebody win. And that's kind of where I feel like we're at. And the Dodgers have a bunch of good guys. They haven't done really anything like off the field. No. They haven't done any scandals. They got a bunch of good dudes that seem to just win baseball games.
Yeah, and you know, when you think about it, there's a parallel there to Joe Torre's Yankees. You know, people might not have liked George Steinbrenner, you know, huffing and puffing with everything. But Torre comes in, establishes a different tone. How are you going to disrespect or dislike Derek Jeter or Bernie Williams or Jorge Posada? All those people, it wasn't just that they were a winning team, they were a likable team in the way they went about it. And then when they happened to be in the World Series in the immediate aftermath of 2001, and there were all those emotional scenes and people wearing NYPD and FDNY hats, I think that was all washed away. And other than when people were rooting for the Diamondbacks, perhaps in that series, other than Diamondback fans, I think people felt good about the Yankees in that circumstance. But you know how it is. Notre Dame, the Cowboys, Duke, they have as many people nationwide rooting against them as rooting for them. One thing for sure, this is a safe prediction on this World Series, the ratings are going to be through the roof. You've seen what the ratings are in Canada. The Jays are almost a national obsession. And overseas, across the Pacific Ocean, all of Japan's going to be up watching these games to see Ohtani and to a lesser extent Yamamoto and Sasaki. The Dodgers bring, you know, name brand and a large market already. And when you combine it with those other factors, I haven't got the figures in front of me, but I'd be surprised if this goes 6 or 7. You got to get deeper in the audience builds, although it'll build for the game that Ohtani pitches, which would be game 4 at Dodger Stadium. If it goes 6 or 7 games, my guess is this would be the highest rated World Series since the Cubs broke the curse in 2016.
All right. So this is great for baseball. So give us your preview.
Yeah.
Give us the preview of what you think not only is going to happen, but how the series breaks down to get to game 6 or game 7.
It's not imperative, but it would be good for the series, would really be good for the series if Toronto wins game 1 tonight and establish that this is a competition, not a coronation of a Dodger dynasty. Getting out of there with a split, you know, despite the fact that we can get carried away, if you play 3 games against a cellar-dwelling team, the odds are that that team wins one of those games, if those games are in July or August. Now, I realize that you approach it differently in October, but if Toronto gets out with a split, I think the odds are overwhelming that they come back to Toronto, and they certainly have a chance with 2 games at home. If they come back down 3-2, let alone up 3-2, I think that we've got a series that has a chance to go to a 7th game, and then the ratings would be really through the roof.
They will, Bob. I agree. I think you got all of Japan watching, you got all of Canada watching, and you got all of America watching, and not only in LA, but people that want the Dodgers to lose are all rooting for the Blue Jays. So
yeah,
I think the ratings for this series are going to be outstanding, which leads me to my next question. You're tight with Rob Manfred. You know him very well. Everywhere
Pretty
you
well.
read, ratings are up, attendance is up, interest in baseball is up. And then all of a sudden we hear, well, we need a salary cap. I'm sorry to bring us down, but we need a salary cap and we need a lockout. And these players can't keep doing what they're doing. Where are we hung up here, Bob? Explain this to me, because I can't. You're one of the smartest people I know. Maybe you can explain this to me, because no one else has been able to explain it to me.
Well, there's a lot of small and middle market teams that think that the thing is out of hand, but that's been the refrain forever. No matter how much the economic landscape has changed, the threat of a lockout, and even if it's imposed, after lockouts, historically in baseball history, you haven't lost any games. After strikes, which strategically take place during seasons or just before the season begins, then we have lost games, and in some cases, lots of them. So this may be just a tactic. All right, we're going to impose a lockout technically in December of 2026. That gives us plenty of time to work this thing out. One of the problems, if that's the right word, is that Tony Clark is in a difficult position as the head of the MLB Players Association. Going all the way back to Marvin Miller, who finally got into the Baseball Hall of Fame. He's one of the most significant non-players in the history of the game. Marvin Miller stood fast. It wasn't a negotiating thing. It was a matter of principle. There will never be a salary cap. And Don Fehr and Gene Orza were just as hardline. Tony Clark doesn't want to be the first guy who yields ground on that particular issue, which was always a red line for the players. But think about it, in one form or another, the NFL, the NHL, and the NBA all have some version of a salary cap. This should now not be a holy war anymore. All the matters of principle, the players have won over time, as they should have. Now this should just be a hard-nosed business negotiation and not a matter of principle that can't possibly be violated no matter what else is going on. We're not going to be able to roll back the clock and the players, standing on a street corner with a tin cup are having to have off-season jobs. That's not going to happen. I hope the two sides can realize there's a lot of mutual interest here, and let's see if we can negotiate a deal like businessmen rather than people that are on opposite sides of a holy war.
Agree with everything you said. Here's the problem with what was, and I don't want to get into a debate because you'll win because you're way smarter than I am. But here's my thing. The cap hasn't fixed anything in the other sports. It hasn't fixed basketball. It hasn't fixed the NFL. It hasn't. Heck, hockey's. You can make argument hockey's worse since they went to a full cap. I mean, football, the players have to switch teams every year. NBA, they have all these different. Well, they keep changing the rules. Right. So this guy can go back, and the Celtics won.
You can't even understand. You can't even understand what the NBA thing is. Sometimes it's like, let's pick up sides at a schoolyard. Let's all get together. We'll be a team. Yeah. We'll walk to the schoolyard. Exactly. We three will walk to the schoolyard. We'll have the team. We'll take the two best guys we find there, and that's our team.
No, I agree. So that's why, listen, as I'm a player, so I'm going to always argue against it. But, you explained it the way you explained it. But to me, a cap is not the answer. And there's got to be a way we can make this work. And I just don't want to see any time missed. I know we're a year away, but it's already dominating stuff. So, as someone famous once said, can't we all just get along, please? Like in baseball, just get along?
Yeah, apparently not. I'm hoping that relations should be better now. Back in the day when the owners really were screwing the players, this is a different situation now. I know it was a one-off, but when Bryce Harper drops an F-bomb on Manfred, to whatever extent that represents a portion of the players' electorate, I don't think that's a hopeful sign. They have to respect the owner's position and the commissioner's position. They don't have to agree with it, but they have to view them as, if not partners, there's at least some overlap of mutual interest, and let's sit down and negotiate that. By the way, before I forget this, to your earlier point, AJ, people will irrationally hate whatever they want to hate, but you're absolutely right. You look at the core of this Dodger team: Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Shohei Ohtani, Clayton Kershaw, also bound for the Hall of Fame. Dave Roberts is going to get in when you look at his overall record. There's 5 Hall of Famers, and no rational person can say a bad word about any of them. They conduct themselves with class and complete respect for the game. People should celebrate that in this era.
Yeah, it's a good call. Those guys are quite likable.
Yeah, I know that's the problem. That's where the rub is in this series, because Toronto has a bunch of good, likable guys too.
Yeah, but people,
we had Shane Bieber on. He was awesome, right? We've had Max, and we've had Jeff, we've had Hoffman, we've had all these guys. Like,
people hate consistent winners, though, so it gives them something to root against with the Dodgers. I do believe that side of the equation. Bob, to take a turn here, you didn't call postseason ball for the first time in a while. Did you miss it?
I missed a little bit being around the game, but we talked about this before, and I don't want to belabor it. If you respect the game and you respect your craft, you want to reach your standard, or at least come close to it. And I think that my standard in a number of areas, but one of them was calling baseball, was pretty high. And I tried as best I could, but I couldn't consistently reach that standard. If you let me edit all the games and just put together, here's the best hour of these 3, and then it might have sounded just like it always did, or pretty close. But I knew I just couldn't do it as well as I wanted to anymore. Father Time is undefeated. I can still do the other things, a number of them, pretty much as well as I ever did, but I just can't. I couldn't reach that standard. And that was my own decision. No one forced me into it. There was no pressure of any kind. That was my own decision. And as I may have told you guys, I made it a year and a half before the 24 season. As soon as the 23 season was over with, or toward the end of that season, I said next year will be my last one. And I was only just hoping to end on some kind of grace note that I could feel good about. It's maybe a tortured analogy. I'm hoping that Clayton Kershaw gets into at least one game. I hope it's at Dodger Stadium, and I hope he sets the side down 1-2-3, and it could be a lopsided game and just a mop-up roll. But he walks off the mound in that scenario feeling good about that moment. Now, even if he came in and gave up 4 straight home runs and then was pulled, that doesn't change the truth about his Hall of Fame career. But you want to feel good about the ending. And I didn't quite manage that, and it's only because of it's baseball. If I had done not so well on some other assignment, I wouldn't like it, because you're a professional. You care about your craft. But because it was baseball, it was a little more emotional for me in that respect. And I wish I could have done better, but I did do my best. But my best was no longer good enough.
Baseball is a place in everybody's heart, and you have a place in everybody's head calling games. So I appreciate that from you. And I never saw anything that was different, or heard anything that was different. Go to the Mariners series.
That's nice. That's nice of you. By the way, when if you're a former players, you put yourself in a situation, whatever the game situation is that you're watching. I can't help but think, boy, Brian Anderson did a great job on that Ohtani call. You can't just say going, gone, your boilerplate call. He understood the moment, and he framed it with his call. There's so many good young broadcasters. Kevin Brown, who does the Orioles, he did an earlier series. The group that you were with, AJ, and then in that threesome. And I love the story, though, about getting ejected from a game. I like it when guys get anecdotal as opposed to always analytical. And you talking about how you had to explain it to your son, like why you got thrown out of the game, and edit what you actually said to the umpire. I love that kind of stuff. That colors baseball. And there are so many good broadcasters now. I don't need to take up any more space.
All right. Well, you were watching the last series. Let's hear what you have to say about, anecdotally or analytically, about the move that Dan Wilson made to pitch not their best 2 relievers and go with Pizzardo. A good reliever, but not their best. What were you saying to yourself as you were watching it?
Not a second guess. In the moment, I'm just sitting there, right? What are they doing? You've got to go to Munoz in that situation. People have been saying this forever, even in some regular season games. Why wouldn't you use your best guy when the game is on the line? There are runners on second and third. Even if Munoz can't finish the game, if he gets you out of that, and then he pitches the 8th, okay, then you can bring somebody else in. In the interim, no one ever mentions this. What if we score again? What if we pad our lead a little bit? So then there's less pressure on Brash or Bizzardo or whomever you bring in. The game and the series and the season are on the line right now. You have to go with your best. And there's stats to show, this was the third time in the series that Springer had faced Bizzardo. He had never faced Munoz during the series. So you guys know better than I, having that second, third look at a guy and his repertoire and what he's going after you with. And if you talk about a reliever, the reliever generally comes in there with 2 or 3 pitches max. Starters have more. There are quantifiable stats to indicate that the idea of multiple looks at a pitcher definitely helps the hitter. So that's another factor in this situation. Look, Dan Wilson did a very good job, got them to the cusp of the World Series. But I can't follow the rationale in not going to Munoz in that situation.
Hey, Bob, you live in Southern California, so you're part of Los Angeles, okay? Because, the Anaheim Angels are part of Los Angeles. Like, they're not even close, but, they're still the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, which I've yet to figure out. But have you seen what's going on with them? The no air conditioning thing, a 1-year contract for their manager. Like, do you follow it all? Because this is a great soap opera. The lawsuit thing that's happening. I mean, this is all happening in the same time. It's craziness.
Yeah, they're kind of a star-crossed franchise. They signed Albert Pujols. He's still at his peak. He became a good player, but not a great player like he was in all those incredibly epic years with the Cardinals. They retained Trout. They tried to some extent to retain Ohtani. They signed Rendon coming off a great year when the Nats won the World Series, and Rendon decides he doesn't want to play baseball anymore. You can't say that Artie Moreno wasn't trying. And then the lawsuit thing, which was tossed in there. I don't know if the 1-year deal for Suzuki indicates that we'll see what happens after a potential lockout. It's not exactly a vote of confidence. I know he's a respected guy around baseball, but when all the players have much more security than the manager does, I don't know that it helps the situation, but I'm looking at this from a distance. I don't have any inside info.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair because we're before you spoke to us like God in our headsets, we were kind of digging into it. So we have to go back to it after you get off. So we want to get God's thoughts on that too. All right, speaking of God, you used to work for NBC back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
You used to do the NBA, and it was kind of when I was growing up. It was Jordan, and before that it was Magic and Larry and that whole thing. But Jordan was kind of the guy that kind of took the NBA to the next level. Your thoughts on him doing broadcasting? Because he kicked it off the other night, and he sat down to the story he gave about having to shoot the free throw and being nervous. I thought was awesome. And I know Michael, Michael. How cool is it that he's going to be on TV telling kind of his mindset?
It's really cool. I think the way they're going to use him, and this is the smart way to use him, Mike Tirico went down to Florida and interviewed him for like 2 hours. And they'll release a lot of that in little 3 and 4 minute chunks like they did on the first game on Tuesday night. What you want him for is historical overview. You don't want him to break down the first half. Someone else can do that at halftime. But you want his view on how the game has changed. You want to pose this kind of question to him, I would think, and maybe Mike did somewhere along the line. If the Bulls at their peak play the Warriors at their peak, who guards Curry and who guards you? Then you move to the edge of your seat to hear Jordan's answer. You don't want to waste Michael Jordan's time by saying, the Celtics had a cold shooting first half. What should they do in the second half? There's a zillion guys who can analyze that. You want the stories and the insight from a big picture perspective for Michael Jordan. I wouldn't expect, except maybe on the conference finals, ESPN, ABC has the finals, but NBC has the conference finals. Except for the conference finals, I wouldn't expect to see Michael at the scene at all. I think he'll just, do something from a distance if he does it. And the great majority of what he'll do, at least during the regular season, is already in the can in that long interview he did with Tirico.
Love it.
That's a good call.
Love it. It was awesome. If you saw that interview, it was awesome. Where he's like, I had to shoot free throws. I did. But he say he sold his house and the guy something, and he had to shoot a free throw for this kid. And he's like, I was shaking in my boots. It was awesome.
AJ, you're connected to one of my few public athletic moments. because you couldn't turn my wild pitch, which really could have been a pass ball. You couldn't snare it. Okay. But this reminds me, we're talking about Jordan. This is the truth, and there were witnesses. Larry Bird night at Boston Garden, 1992 or 93. So I'm the MC. There's no game, but Boston Garden's completely sold out. Magic Johnson shows up as a surprise. All of Bird's Celtic teammates are there through the years. So we do a rehearsal in the afternoon at the Garden. And now I'm walking off, and there's a rack of balls. And I say, toss me the balls. I'm going to shoot some free throws. I hit 10 for 10 and walked off. I have very few highlights. That's one of them. 10 for 10, hours before Larry Bird night.
Did anyone see this? Because that's like me saying I played golf and I made a hole-in-one, but I was playing by myself. So
was anyone there were witnesses. There were witnesses. I'm sure they would sign an affidavit. If I
or an NDA? An NDA? Right. They signed an NDA?
Now, in fairness, I was at the University of Indiana a couple of years ago. I had a niece who was graduating, and so I went to the arena there with their sports information guy, and we're chatting. And I said, "Hey, I haven't shot a long time. Let me take 10," and I only made 5. So I was hot on Bird night, but 30 years later, I wasn't close to as good.
Father time.
10 for 10 though, yes. And you walk
Father
off.
Time.
That is
yes or no, Bob? Are you doing the Olympics? The Winter Olympics? Aren't they?
No, not in Milan, not the Winter Olympics. With the domestic Olympics in 2028, I think that NBC will lean into some of the nostalgia of it. I would assume that almost every prominent American Summer Olympian would be there. You expect to see Michael Phelps there and Simone Biles and Carl Lewis and all that sort of stuff. And I would imagine, just as they'll do with the NBA, that they'll lean into some of their broadcasting history. So assuming I'm still upright, and sometimes people can't tell when I'm upright. I'm sitting now. But if I'm still able to do it, I would imagine that I might drop by now and then in 28 in Los Angeles.
Good. I know who to call for tickets.
And
so
MJ,
I wanted to know. So
MJ
I wanted
too.
to know. Yes.
But Bob, you look great. So it's always a pleasure. We appreciate it. I know that we are a to-do with how we do the show and all of that. So thanks for putting
that's just because I'm technophobic. I had a flip phone until 7 or 8 years ago, so I can't figure anything out except for a simple Zoom. So that was my only condition. I'll do the show anytime you guys ask, but it has to be on a simple Zoom. And before we run here, just a thought. The last time I was on, which was before the season started, and you can't place too much credence in comments, but foolishly I looked at some of the comments after that appearance, and I guess this is just natural. One of the subjects was Soto and then also Ohtani. And people infer wrongly that because you work for MLB Network, you're automatically just chirping a party line. But anyone that knows anything about me knows that I've always said whatever I think. Politely, I hope, but when interviewing commissioners or whatever it is, my opinions are my own. They're not something that's issued from the commissioner's office. So when I had said a year before that it's good for baseball that Ohtani signed with the Dodgers, that's just true overall. Look at what he's brought to the game overall. If he was in a smaller market, say that some way there was a way that a smaller market could entice him to be there, then you don't get the ripple effect. And now it's more than a ripple effect. He's going to get booed in Toronto. People thought that I and others were dissing the Blue Jays because apparently they were in the mix for Ohtani. Like, oh, you don't like Canada, or oh, you don't like the Blue Jays, or oh, you're in the Dodgers' hip pocket. No, it's an objective assessment of what this means, not just for the Dodgers, but for baseball. This is good for baseball overall. Oh, no one's Michael Jordan. But when Michael Jordan was at his peak in the 90s, the other teams in the NBA should have chipped in and helped the Bulls pay his salary because he was good for the league, not just good for the Bulls. Ohtani is good for baseball, not just in America, but internationally. And now that Toronto's in it, that's good for baseball internationally. And let them boo their lungs out. Luckily for him, he's going to start at Dodger Stadium, but they're still going to have to contend with him at the plate. So, one of the things I just like to talk baseball. You can stop me whenever you want. When people talked about what's comparable to the 3-homer game and the 6 shutout innings with the 10 strikeouts, there's nothing directly comparable. and the postseason and the spotlight matters. But as you guys know, Rick Wise once pitched a no-hitter that was a near perfect game. Only one guy reached, and he hit 2 home runs in the game. Still doesn't match Ohtani, but that never comes up in this conversation. The other one would be Gibson pitching a perfect game in 1967 to win it for the Cardinals in Game 7 at Fenway Park. So he pitches a complete game. It's his 3rd complete game of the series. All 3 of them wins, and he hits a homer at Fenway Park. He was a good hitting pitcher. But just citing those things, as remarkable as they are, is proof. You know, Pujols going 5 for 6 in a World Series game in 2011, and 3 of them are homers. All those incredible things. Reggie hitting 3 homers on the first pitch 3 times in the last game in 77. As great as all those things are, Ohtani trumps them all.
That was the beauty, and it was a good history lesson. We did segments on it just to bring up the amazing feats in baseball in the past. We do have to jump. You're right. I'm getting the producer, but Bob, this was great. Yeah. Thank you so much,
Bob. We need to make you a regular on here so we can.
We'll get him back. Now we got the Zoom and the iPad set up. We're good to go now.
Bob. Yeah, have your people call my people.
You got it.
My phone only works one way, Bob. Sorry.
Thank you, Bob. Enjoy the series.
See you guys. All right.
BetMGM time. We're going to talk to AJ just real quick, and you'll get a minute on this. But to add to what Bob said at the end there, Shohei Ohtani also is in the postseason. That helps. Yeah, we need that. That was part of it. Yeah, big market's cool, but he was on the Angels, and nobody got to see him right now and talk about him during the biggest time of the year. So I just wanted to add that. We didn't have time with Bob, but
when Bob gets going, nobody can stop him.
That was good.
Oh, not even producer lady can stop Bob.
Well, it was good.
I thought at one point Claude was just going to hang up on him.
Producer lady?
Yeah.
Yeah. No. We all had an agreement that would be our time period. Now we're going to get in trouble for this one. So anyways, we're giving out our X-Factors, and it's on the Roar blog on BetMGM's site. We'll post the website link. There it is. Foul territory, Dodgers, Jays, World Series X-Factors. AJ has about a minute to give you his 2. Kratz will do his during the next segment.
Mine, first of all, we'll start with the Blue Jays. I've been saying this, the lefties for the Blue Jays. Little, Lauer, and Fluharty. How they match up with Shohei, when they use them, Shohei, Freddie, and Max Muncy. Mm-hmm. How they use them, how they deploy them is going to be fascinating to me, especially in the late innings, because those guys can hurt you at any point. And then for the Dodgers, it's the bullpen again. Baseball's turned into kind of a bullpen game. If the Blue Jays knock out the starters, who other than Roki Sasaki and Vesia come in for the Dodgers and can get big outs? Is it Sheehan? Is it Clayton Kershaw? Is it Bonda? Is it Trinan? Who's going to be the guy that steps up for them and gives them innings in this postseason if their starters don't go deep? That's it. It's pretty simple.
So your X factors are relievers.
Who sides, just like who's going to step? Yes.
Yeah.
Lefty relievers for the Blue Jays, and who's going to step up besides Roki and Vesia for the Dodgers?
Okay.
And I can't give you that because I don't know how they're going to deploy them.
Right. You don't know which name because it depends who they end up using. Kratz is going to give his answers when we swing back. So coming up next, just a quickie segment to get us back on time. We will get back to the Angels conversation. The YouTube crowd's watching right now. The TV crowd's not going to get the rest of that. Haha, oh well. But if you're watching us on YouTube right now, you always get more. So we will do that very soon. But yeah, coming up next is a 2-minute segment. Actually, I'll give that Rockies news because it'll take me 1 minute to lay it out. We don't know who it is yet, but we'll at least update you on who's in the running. Hey, we're back. Ken Rosenthal and Britt Giroli with a story that's not getting any coverage yet because it's the World Series, but the Rockies have begun to pare down their list. Amiel Sadeh, assistant GM with the Diamondbacks, and Cleveland assistant GM Matt Foreman are 2 of the finalists. They don't know. There could be more, but we do know that James Click is out. Scott Sharp, the assistant in the front office for Kansas City, is out. So they're still working on it, but it's going to be an external candidate, and really that should be our analysis. Good job, Colorado, because if you get an external candidate that knows what he's doing, Kratz, we will have a new number one in the power rankings for biggest hot mess franchise. Actually, they're already number one probably, but the Angels are definitely
the Angels are
mess.
1A.
Yeah.
If they're 1, the Angels are 1A or 1B, depending on how you
the
look
Rockies
at it.
don't have as many scandals either.
Well, no. It's because they've had the same people in place there for 30 years.
Yeah. I did hear that when they talked about Bill Schmidt stepping down, they gave it to Zach Rosenthal, who then resigned soon after, that he found out he was taking over during the meeting. They didn't even talk to him on the side. That's pretty amateur status. That's when you say, hey, I think it's time that someone else takes over and that they really do it and we stop mom and pop shopping it. I did hear that. So I think I can get somebody to talk about that on the record, but we'll deal with that in the offseason.
I'm not a fan of firings, but if that's the case, if they're definitely going outside of the organization, which the Rockies could still pivot, there might be a lot of firings. There might be a lot of people that, the whole office space where they're like,
so what is it that you do here?
So what is it that you do here? And guys are gonna be like, "What's my swing line stapler? This is my BETMGM pen. This is my pen. This is my pen. I usually write things down for the Rockies, and then the Rockies play games, and I write stuff down."
Exactly. To me, it's like The Office, the TV show, where they're like, "Kevin, you're running Thunder Mifflin now." He's like, "What?" All right, we gotta go. We'll be right back for Slap. Part 2, World Series X-Factors. It's on the BetMGM Roar blog. You can read all about it with stats, but right now, Erik Kratz will present his case.
Easy peasy. Max Muncy for the Dodgers. And yes, Max Muncy is an X-Factor. Because of the fact that exactly what AJ said, they only have 3 lefties. And how are they going to deploy them? And I think Max is going to run into some very favorable matchups. Maybe they're more afraid of, Shohei and Freddie seeing lefties. Like they're like, okay, well, maybe we can just pitch around them. At some point, Max is going to see that this Blue Jays bullpen has run out of righties. Run out of lefties. And you can't use them all. And so it'll be very interesting to see how they attack there. And I think more outside the box for the Blue Jays, Nathan Lucas. Nathan Lucas has had an incredible postseason. Maybe not against Blake Snell, but the other games he's going to hit in front of Vladimir Guerrero. I don't think the Dodgers are afraid of Vladimir Guerrero. I think they'll pitch to him if nobody's on. But I think with guys on, hence Nathan Lucas, if he continues to stay hot, if he continues to be a force in front of Vladdy, I think they'll have to pitch around Vladdy. And I think there's a piece to that where everybody says, oh, well, who's protecting Vladdy? I just think with nobody on, I think the Dodgers are going to attack Vladdy, and I think that will be basically dictated by who's on in front of him or who's not on in front of him.
Yeah, but if Lucas hits a double, they're just going to walk Vladdy, no? You're saying just you got to create some traffic, though. So
you got to create stuff because of how hot Vladdy is and how good the Dodgers pitching is. I just think they're not going to be as afraid as like we would say, just looking from the outside.
Good call. Hey, you got yourself a little no sweat SGP token, a same game parlay token, and you can get your stake back in bonus bets. It's World Series time, and you can get that by obviously logging into BetMGM, placing a World Series SGP in your bet slip, attach the token, and you get your stake in bonus bets. If you don't win, a little safety there. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
By the way, happy birthday to Kaz Matsui. He was the original anal fissure guy. He actually went on the DLIL at the time, with a real anal fissure. So Kaz Matsui, I played against you in Japan. Happy birthday, because you gave me the idea and it didn't work, but it worked for you, pal.
It was your inspiration.
He was my inspiration.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. True story. Happy birthday, Kaz. Poor guy. Poor guy.
If you ever see him, you go, dude, your fissures were my inspiration.
If I ever see him, I have a Matsui jersey somewhere.
If you ever see him, eyes up. Just keep your eyes up. Don't let your eyes wander, okay?
He's kind of short, though.
I'll keep him up.
Okay. Roll up your sleeves if you have them. Smoke them if you got them. It's going to get hot. The Angels have a trifecta
we're going back to this.
of a mess going on right now. There's a crazy lawsuit that we'll get into at some point, which is very serious. And of course, first off, very unfortunate. A story from long ago at this point that's going to keep dragging on for a long time if you know how courts work and Court of Appeals and all that. But we will do a segment on that at some point. They also have multiple storylines going on involving the current team. Kurt Suzuki is the new manager for one season. Basically unprecedented in modern times. We'll get to that. Let's start with the air conditioning. The real things that are important in life are making sure your players are taken care of. And Yusei Kikuchi had to go out of his way to go on the record and say, please fix the air conditioning, because they didn't fix it for him in the weight room. Kevin Pillar goes on our show, confirms what's going on there. There's a back and forth during the Kurt Suzuki intro press conference with Perry Miniasian and Sam Blum, who is really best in the biz, or one of the best in the biz. He just asks
questions, man, that are
covering
awesome.
Teams. He's so good. So do you want me to read the back and forth?
No. Just basically Perry Miniasian gave him no credit at all. He basically acted like he didn't hear the comments from Kikuchi.
It was like Abbott and Costello.
It literally was like, wait, what?
On first?
No,
what? What's on first? What? The AC.
So the AC,
on third?
does the AC work? We have good amenities. Well, no, but what about the AC? Well, did he say the AC didn't work? Well, yeah, he did say that. Are you sure he said that? I mean, it could have been a comedy routine. I wish I would have heard this in person.
Later in the back and forth, he tells him how Pillar said that on Foul Territory, and he's like, he said it didn't work. He's like, yeah, you did. And then he's like, so what's your question? But there was a question. He started it with a question. Yeah. Do you view this as an issue that you need to address in terms of amenities? But wait, there's more. Do we have the job posting?
Oh,
this is real. Sam Blum put it up. The Angels posted a job for an air conditioning technician today.
Can't make that up.
Hours after the back and forth, we have finally gotten to the point, and I feel like FT is a part of this, right? Good journalism. The Angels are going to attempt to fix their AC. And actually, David Sampson, who's a friend of the show.
But I thought it wasn't broken.
Exactly. It's not broken. We just want to make sure we have someone there
in the
just
future.
In case.
In the future.
And they're saying, and they're like sweating balls.
In the future. I mean, all this is going. I mean, this is like just the whole thing, because Suzuki 1 year, which I get. I mean, I don't get, but I get. And then the whole trial thing with Scat. I mean, it's a circus out there right now.
The AC is just a new low for me. Nobody else does that in the big leagues at all. In fact, David Sampson, friend of the show, used to run the Marlins, said on his show that it was definitely a full-time position. There is a lot going on when you're taking control of a big facility like that. So it sounds like they didn't have anybody, and then they're trying to make it a part-time thing.
Well, there's a million people that work under these standards, Kratz. You know that there's engineers, there's electricians, there's plumbers. I remember one time our clubhouse guy in Chicago, there was a leak, and he's like, we need a plumber, stat, in his full Chicago accent. I mean, yeah.
But you played.
They have all these people.
They fix things fast when there's an issue.
Because they want players to be comfortable. If a player complained, it had already gotten too far. Like if you walk in and you're like, man, it's not 70 degrees in here, the AC must be broken. They try to fix it before the players get there. Because they don't want a player to complain.
Some organizations. This is the whole gist of everything we're saying about the Angels. I don't have any specific stories about the Angels, but I know the Marlins. Christian Yelich, who's still currently in the league, when he came up, him and JT Realmuto, he has a picture of him and JT Realmuto on a team plane that they didn't have air conditioning. And I'm talking the team plane where you plugged in your AirPod, your headphones to the handle and you had like 7 music stations to choose between and the volume all in your handle. That's the plane that they were taking. So organizations cheap out. Organizations in general, not all of them, some of them cheap out. So this happens. Like for the Angels to not have air conditioning working, that just seems like it's par for the course. Seems like an owner that doesn't want to set a standard from the top down that everything needs to be taken care of. For who? For the players. The game is played by the players. You're paying players. So maybe set a standard. You're not having tents as your weight room in spring training. Maybe have air conditioning that's working. Or when it's not working, don't wait till October 22nd at a press conference to hire an HVAC guy. And I hope there's an HVAC guy there that's like, oh, crap. Is that guy going to take my job?
It's about winning, and you need to do the little things that everyone else does to win, period, right? If you're in the workplace and you show up to work and one day they're like, you know what? Our computer's broke. We're not getting new computers. Everyone's doing everything by hand now. You would not do your job very well in today's world. It would take a little bit longer. You'd be less effective. This is the comp. This is a mess. I spent too much time looking at comments from Angels fans who are on the same page, of course, and jokes nonstop. There was one, I'll call it a couple tweets to replies of some of our stuff. Greg Flores said, the conversation was like, Titanic is sinking. No, it's not. Everything is fine. Yusei would agree. Sir, Yusei is in a lifeboat. No, he's not. Who told you that? Yusei did. See, he's waving at us from the lifeboat. Like, people went next level with their replies because I don't want to say they've given up. They just are like, uncle, what are we doing? Yeah. There was one other fan, Brian, who said, I would say Angel Stadium as a whole is far behind everything. I went to a game in June. I swear it hasn't been updated since 1999. Bathrooms are horribly rusted and old. Field level seats were so sunbeaten you couldn't see the seat numbers. So I've been there. I really like it, but it does look like it needs a little. I haven't been to a game
there as a fan since 2004.
Yeah. It's a cool vibe, but it's a little rusty. It could use a little freshening, and this plays to the story. If the players are going through this, then, of course, there could be more updates there. All right, let's get to the manager portion of the conversation. So you're the Angels. You got a nice young core. Kurt Suzuki steps in during spring training. Aren't you at least cracking some jokes with your teammates? Like, well, this guy's not going to be here for long. He's on a one-year deal. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. But, I mean, I would say this if we interviewed Kurt. Like, you don't have to accept that. You made money in your career. You're respected. You were a candidate for other teams. The answer was, well, I've taken many one-year deals in my career. That's not how managerial jobs work. Tell me I'm wrong here. Tell me this is fine. And is this the new norm? Will another team join the party here and say, yeah, you know what? Kurt Suzuki did it, so we'll hand a one-year contract out to our new manager. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me this is okay and that this is right.
No, I can't. I tell you you're wrong, that I don't think other teams are going to do this because of the precedent it sets. The precedent that it sets, like, you're clearly not, the Braves aren't going to hire somebody for a one-year job. Like, hey, you don't win this year, you got to win. You got to, you're fired. That's why we're only giving you a one-year job. So it's going to be the teams that are kind of rebuilding and they kind of have a young core and all that stuff. You don't want to show your young core that the organization doesn't back the person you're bringing in. Like, hey, guys, I know you're new to the big leagues. We're going to bring this one guy in for you to manage you, and we'll see how it goes, but he may not be here. No, you want to build stability. You want to build toward the crescendo of where we are this week. The World Series. That's how you bring in a new manager and you get everybody behind it. This is just flat wrong on so many sides. And honestly, the person that I think is doing the least wrong, I might get flack for this, is Suzuki. He's only one of 30 jobs. And I know he might be screwing over other people for, well, you know what? Screw that. He wanted to be a manager. He was coaching 11U baseball a month ago. Now he's coaching an 11U owner. And I think it's something that he got a managerial job. He has it under his belt. Might not look good or does look good on his resume. He's got it on his resume. See if he wants to do it or not.
You don't think it hurts a reputation? It's like, oh, that's the guy that took the 1 year, and then if it doesn't go well, right? Like you get.
He does a good job. Nobody will care.
And if he doesn't,
nobody will care.
Either way, you don't think that has anything to do with anything?
No.
Really?
Mm-mm.
I agree.
So you think he'll do a year, they'll lose 95 games, and he'll be just as big of a candidate the next year?
Well, he has it on his resume.
That's so big because people just look past anybody without it on their resume. I don't.
Okay. So do you think Pedro Grifol will get hired again?
He did
so
a bad job.
You don't think doing a poor job as a manager or – yeah, but you're putting him in a bad position. He's on a one-year deal.
Oh, me, Scott, I got a tea time.
Got it. Okay.
No.
So you don't feel strongly about this?
I think it's weird, but I mean, what am I going to do? He wanted the job. He got it. He took a 1-year deal. That's his own decision. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have taken a 1-year deal. Maybe that's why Albert Pujols didn't take the job. They wanted him to take a 1-year deal. I'm not taking a 1-year deal.
No.
Because I'm like, you know what? If I do a shitty job and they fire me after 1 year, I still want to get paid for 2 or 3 more, i.e. college football coaches.
Well, that's
I was going to say, whoa, 5-year plan. You're the one that's only against these 5-year plans. Now you're using it for your best interest.
That's right. I want that 5-year contract.
And you want this conversation to go shorter so you can get to your tea time, too. So that's part of it.
Also true. But Scott's never going to let this go.
He's trying to get fired from the show. You guys were all fired up.
I get overtime, so let's keep going.
You guys were all fired
Mark
up.
said I get overtime, so let's keep going.
You were fired up about this before the show. I just wanted.
We've hit it like 5 times now.
We didn't hit it 5 times.
We hit it before Bob. We hit it with Bob. We hit it after Bob, and now we're hitting it like till 3:45. But I get overtime, so it doesn't matter. This counts as an extra show.
That's what she said. All right, that's all I got.
Your shirt, though, is pretty solid today.
Well, NBA just started, and NBA is dominating some headlines today for
the Magic
some things.
beat the Heat's ass
for some bad stuff.
There's a lot of stuff going on in that league. Yes, NBA Jam, Orlando Magic. Magic are going to be good this year.
They should be.
Should be good this year.
Might not
I'm
play.
a Magic fan now. Well, my team got taken away from me. There's no Jersey team anymore, so I'm a Magic fan now.
Okay.
I'm allowed. Rob Manfred said I should be a fan of the Giants if I'm an A's fan. See ya.